Okay, this video is going to go over a few questions from section 1.1 that I noticed I have answered several times helping students in the lab. And so this question comes, and you can see that I have printed this out from MyLabs Plus. Determine whether or not the equation is linear. And so I'm simply going to look at my variables in my equation, and I see that that is x to the first, this is x to the first, and this is also x to the first. Since all of those are x to the first, then we know that this one is linear. Okay? Alright, so if we look at another question similar to that, this again is from your MyLabs Plus. It says again, determine whether or not the equation is linear. So this time I look at my powers of x, again my variable, and I notice that I have this x squared. And since I have one of my x's has a power higher than to the first power, because we have again this x squared here, I know for a fact then this is not going to be linear. Okay, so the next problem that I saw from section 1.1 that I answered or helped several times students with in the lab, and some of my students in class asked me about, was this question right here that says solve the equation. And so if I'm going to solve this equation, I can see here that I have fractions involved, and I need to clear these fractions. I need to clear these denominators. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find my LCD. And so for 10 and 5, it would be 10. And then I also have in this denominator here an x. So my LCD for this particular problem is not just 10, but 10x. And so now I'm going to take this 10x and I'm going to multiply it times both sides of this equation. So I'm going to write that down here. So I would have 10x times, and I put my left side of my equation, 1 minus 2 divided by 10x equals, and again, I have 2/5 here on the right side of my equation, and I have to multiply the right side of the equation by 10x as well. So I multiplied both sides of the equation by 10x. Now remember, this is really 10x over 1, and so I'm going to distribute this 10x times both of these terms here. And so 10x times 1 would just be 10x minus, and now when I do 10x over 1 times 2 over 10x, because I'm really multiplying this 10x over 1 times 2 over 10x, I can cross reduce. And what do I mean? Well, I know then the x's are going to cancel out, so to speak. And then 10 goes into 10 one time, 10 goes into 10 one time. And so I'm left here with 1 times this 2, which is 2, and I have 1 on bottom, which is still just 2. 2 over 1 is just really equal to 2, equals, and again, this is 10 over 1 on this side, and so I can cross reduce. And so I do that by getting my common factor that'll divide evenly into both of these, which is 5. 5 will go into 5 one time, 5 will go into 10 two times, and so I'm left with 2x here times this 2. 2x times 2 gives me 4x over 1, which is just really 4x. Okay, so the rest of it is just solving the equation, using your steps to solve an equation. So I'm going to subtract 4x on this side, and this negative 2 will be positive 2 here. Okay, so I have 10x minus 4x equals 2. 10x minus 4x is 6x equals 2. I divide both sides by 6. And I cannot leave my answer 2, 6 because that is not simplest form, so I reduce that. 2 goes into 2 one time, 2 goes into 6 3 times. So as you can see, that was the correct answer they had shown as well, so x equals 1/3.